one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. That is a great line from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings series. Today we're going to go and visit Theoden's Hall, also known as Meduseld. Tolkien translated that to mean Mead Hall, or better yet, Mead Throne. This is going to be my take on the mead that they drank in Meduseld. Stay tuned. Okay, so in today's episode, we're going to be making an apple pear mead. Instead of using water, we're going to be using Kirkland's apple juice. And this is just pure apple juice, nothing else added to it. I was lucky enough, a friend of mine, Doc, thank you very much, and Dan, they hooked me up with some local honey. And I've got that warming up in the sink right now. We're going to use about 3 pounds of it. We're going to shoot for about an 1150 original gravity weight, 1150, 1160. So this way here, when everything's done, we're going to be at about 18% because I want to kill it off at about 1010. So let's get started. So I've got about 3 pounds of local honey here, and this tastes really good. And actually, it tastes fantastic. We're going to go ahead and start with our apple juice. Now, I already took a gravity reading on this here, and this comes out to 1050, which would normally give us, if we did just apple juice, that's going to give us about a 5.5% sizer afterwards. But we're going to start with our apple juice here. And again, as with everything, everything's already been sterilized. I use Starsan sanitizer. I spray down all the countertops. I wash everything in it. I've got my bucket of sanitation right here. So this way here, I'm going to make sure that everything stays nice and clean. And everything here has already been, as I said, sanitized. So we're going to go ahead and take our honey and bug parts. You don't want bug parts. So when it's pure, unfiltered, you're going to get some of that in there. We're going to go ahead and pour in our honey here. This over here. And then we're going to go ahead and grab out our whipping spatula here. I like it, it's got holes in it, and this way here, as we stir it, we're going to get additional air in here. Now I've already started rehydrating my yeast here. So I got the water to about, I boiled some water, waited for it to drop down to about 99 degrees, 95, about 97 degrees actually. And then I went ahead and I put in my Lalvin EC-1118 yeast. And that's going to rehydrate it. We're going to, as that's sitting there, it's reactivating. Once we get this mixed up, I'm going to take a little bit from here. I'm going to add it to there just to make sure that it starts fermenting. And then we'll pitch it into our must here. Okay. So now we've got it stirred up really well, mixed in there well. I am not adding the fruit quite yet. Makes it easier to get some of this out beforehand. We're going to be taking our reading here, our first gravity reading. If you don't know how to calculate out the ABV or approximate the alcohol by volume, watch my video on that. I've got a video out there already that explains how to do the calculation. But you'll take an original gravity reading, then you'll take a final gravity reading. You will subtract the final gravity reading from the original gravity reading, and then multiply it by 131.25 to get your alcohol by volume. Now as we take our hydrometer, put it in here, and give it a spin. See where we're at. And we are right at 1150. That's right where I want it to be. So the pears are going to add some additional sugar to that as well. I'm going to throw these in. I'm just going to cut these into quarters. And I am going to cut the seeds out of them. I don't want the seeds in here. And yes, I even did sanitize the pears. I'm using a total of 4. I've got 4 Bartlett pears here. I like the sweetness of the Bartlett pears. I don't go anywhere. Then we have one more ingredient to add here. Before we pitch our yeast. Okay. Let's get our secret ingredient. Okay, so now we're going to add in our blackcurrant tea. We've had steeping here. And that's going to help give it some tannins, give it a good mouthfeel. And we're going to add in just a couple of cloves. We don't want a lot, so I am literally only putting in, I don't know if you can see that, only 2 cloves in there. I'm going to drop them in. It already smells really good. Give it a good mix in here. Now with our yeast rehydrated, we're going to take some of our liquid from here. Put it right in here with the yeast. We're going to give that about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, till we start seeing it actually fermenting in there. And we're going to put it in here, get our lid on top of it, and get our airlock on it as well. We'll be right back. Okay, so our yeast is ready to pitch. We're going to wind her up. Go ahead and pitch her in. And give it a stir. Going good. All mixed in there well. Then we go ahead and put our lid on. So we've got our airlock here. And when you buy these airlocks, make sure you only fill it to the max line, because as the pressure differentiates, you definitely don't want any of this to ever go back into your must. I'm using Starsan sanitizer, so it's not toxic, but you don't want to add that stuff back in. When you put this on, make sure that you've got the airlock on the opposite side of where your handle is. Otherwise, it's going to get here, and you won't be able to get it up the rest of the way. Go ahead and seal this. Now, if you have one of these are great. This is a wet erase fine point marker, and it allows you to write on it, and this will wash right off, so even better than using a Sharpie. So we're going to go ahead and mark this as which mead it is. We're going to go ahead and set it downstairs with our other meads and let it get to fermenting. Every other day or so, we're going to go down and we're going to give it a shake, just to make sure that we keep things flowing. It's going to take about 30 days in this bucket, and then we're going to move it into one of our glass carboys to finish it off in secondary fermentation. And then at that time there, once it finishes off there, we'll go ahead and add the potassium sorbate to make sure that we have no further fermentation going on, and we'll bottle it after that. Thanks again for coming over and hanging out while we made some more mead. I hope you enjoyed it. Would you do me a favor? Click the like button and click the subscribe button, and then share the video out on social media. I'd appreciate it. In the meantime, I've got a couple videos over here and a subscribe button over here. Go ahead and tell your friends about it. And as we go, just remember the words of the great Thorin Oakenshield from The Hobbit, The Return Journey. If more of us valued food and cheer and song over hoarded gold, the world would be a much merrier place. We'll see you next time.